Good evening, welcome to Business Live. Coming up tonight, Finance Minister Defense moved to seek parliamentary approval to spend more in the next half of this year. We have an exclusive interview with him ahead of the mid-year presentation. Ministry of Trade allocates $200,000 for a plantain processing factory under One District, One Factory initiative. And we explore how artificial intelligence may just be what the country needs to improve crop yield. Thanks for being with us. Details right after this break. So tonight, the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has justified moves to seek parliamentary approval to spend more in the next half of this year. Mr. Ofori-Atta will make the presentation before Parliament next Thursday, that is July 23. However, some have questioned the supplementary budget based on deficit risks, especially in an election year. The minister, however, tells Joy Business these are needed to help fast-track economic recovery.
In an era of unknowns, knowing that, yes, lives and livelihoods, we have done well these 6 months. That has to be maintained. Small businesses have been taken care of to a certain degree, and now we have major businesses to tackle and to look forward to a whole revitalization program of agribusiness, manufacturing, and Ghana as a regional hub. You know, we are not deterred by what we have seen, because I think it's an opportunity to really galvanize new energy and dig deep into who we are as, you know, at this year that we came to conquer. You have to, I mean, certainly if you are needing more resources to be able to do what we have to do at the end of the year. And also you remember we took some money from the Stability Fund to Contingency Fund, and I have to give a program as to how we're going to replenish that. So those two will come. I think that the issue, of course, is the application of the resources that we have. And I don't know, I mean, it's been 3.5 years of seeing how government has operated and what, therefore, the economy has been. And there has to be trust that we will use this money well, at least from the Ministry of Finance. I can assure you that we and the presidency would ensure the resources are used. I mean, we are, you know, confident that by God's grace, the people of Ghana will re-elect us. And if you are doing that, then you don't want to dig a hole for yourself. Huh? You truly want to make sure that you start January 2021 on a good note.
The full interview with the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will air tonight on the business edition of PM Express with George Raffi. George Raffi will be engaging the minister on the topic COVID-19 and managing the economy. So managing the economy amid COVID-19. That is tonight at 9. You don't want to miss it. So still on the mid-year budget review, economists with Data Bank Research, Courage Mate, says revitalization of the economy and sustaining recovery beyond the pandemic should be the focus of government. He spoke to me earlier on the marketplace.
Technically, it means that when the minister comes to Parliament, we won't only be expecting a revised budget for 2020, but we'll also be expecting a supplementary budget, because this would constitute new lines of expenditure that were not captured in the original budget to be revised. So you would want to revise the original budget because the assumptions have changed, but then because there are new expenditure items that will be falling through the budget, you also have to present a supplementary budget for legislative approval. And so that means that we'll also be expecting a supplementary budget this month when the minister comes to Parliament. Okay.
He also makes mention of the fact that this is an election year. Typically around this time, when there's a mid-year budget review, what do we expect government to announce? Remember that we are dealing with different situations now. We are dealing with a pandemic. He also spoke about a massive stimulus package for industries. At what cost to government whilst we try to manage expenditure?
Well, yes, and the thing now is that because of the size of the problem we are dealing with, the focus now is beyond elections. You need to have an economy after the elections, and the only way you can have an economy after the elections is to focus on the bigger problem, which is COVID and life after COVID. And so it appears elections and the worries associated with winning an elections or not is in the back burner. But I think that really, if you are able to revitalize the economy and put the economy on the path of growth and sustainable recovery, that in itself for me is a vote of confidence, and you need not do much at the polls. And so for me, the focus for me is going to be how we spend prudently to restore growth and ensure that confidence bounces back as quickly as possible. So the elections for me will be secondary.
Away from the media budget review, the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana is demanding that government reviews or reverses the Customs Amendment Bill, which seeks to ban importation of overage vehicles. According to the union, the new bill will push them out of business.
From the beginning, we've said that we are not against the foreign investment. We are saying that they should come in, but we are asking government that why will you clear the market and make the market lucrative for an investor coming in? We are not afraid of competition. We are not scared of the competition. Rather, we are saying they should come. Already we have...
Banning the importation of overaged and salvaged vehicles, the new Customs Amendment Bill will impose a 35% import duty on used vehicles that will be imported into the country. The move, according to government, is to encourage more car giants to assemble their vehicles in the country. According to the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana, this bill will affect the operations as it restricts second-hand dealers. Public Relations Officer of the union, Frank Nikofiga, has been speaking to Joy Business.
From the beginning, we've said that we are not against the foreign investment. We are saying that they should come in, but we are asking government that why will you clear the market and make the market lucrative for an investor coming in? We are not afraid of competition. We are not scared of the competition. Rather, we are saying they should come. Already we have Volkswagen in Ghana, we have Rana Motors, we have Kia Motors, we have Mercedes, we have Honda, we have all the brands in Ghana. We are not competing with anybody, but we are saying that do not take us out and bring another person to occupy the market. The market should be competitive. The market should be a market where demand will be the determinant. The people should determine what I want to buy and what I can afford. That is what we are saying. It's not about the competition.
General Secretary Opoku Achampon said the move will increase unemployment.
Immediately schemed to discourage importation of vehicles in which VADAC and other home used car importers across the country deal in. So, as the current passed Customs Act 891/2020 Section 151 stands with importation and sale of vehicles banned under the blanket term salvage, what work will home used vehicle dealers do? Since we don't import clean title vehicles, and what would be the use for A, imported new and home used spare parts together with their stakeholders? B, what will be the job security of other value or employee chains like sprayers, straighteners, key programmers, auto electricians, auto air conditioning technicians, mechanics, etc. in Swami Magazine, Abosioka and Koko. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, as if that is not enough, the government has further introduced a 35% increment according to the amended Chapter 87, Section 17 of the first schedule to the Customs Act 891.
The Customs Amendment Bill is expected to cost government about 820 million cedis in the first year of implementation.
Well, in another development, Managing Director of Japan Motors, Salem Kalmoni, is asking for affordable loans to enable the public purchase brand new cars when they are assembled locally. Speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Kalmoni said assembling vehicles locally would be inconsequential if individuals and businesses do not have purchasing power.
Cars are not stopped. They will still be coming, okay? So that option is still there. However, I think with the assembly plant and with the lowering of duties and taxes on assembled vehicles in Ghana, they'll be more affordable to the Ghanaians. So that 12,000, let's say, car today might become $10,000. Okay, with assembly because of government is waiving off, is managing the duties and taxes. Let's say. The other thing, though, which I will encourage government, which is very important, to make new vehicles available and or affordable to our Ghanaian population, is the availability of medium-term credit at reasonable interest. This has been a challenge in Ghana. Okay, so borrowing at 20–25% interest, for example. This is how it would be if you were to go to the bank. So credit is not freely available. In other countries, I'll tell you, countries which are medium income, not much richer than Ghana, okay, they've been able, people are able to purchase new cars. And these countries, example Morocco, not far better than us, or even South Africa, if you take a look at it, they are able to assemble cars by the tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands. So you need, the other pillar is affordable and medium-term credit for our population. So I think we've communicated this to the Minister of Trade, but this is a bigger issue, maybe even more difficult. It's tied to Ghana's economy, macroeconomy, and this. But this has to be available. The government has to make this possible. If this is possible, I think it will be a great boost to the assembly plants working in Ghana, and the average, let's say, middle-income Ghanaian will be able to, who used to buy, who could only afford a used car, will be able to afford a new car.
Now, the Ministry of Trade and Industry has allocated $200,000 for establishment of a plantain processing factory at Agogo in the Ashanti region. It is under government's flagship One District, One Factory program. 50 youth from the Asante Akim district have already undergone rigorous selection process for engagement on the project. Nanaya Ojima has more in the following report.
Statistics at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture show Ghana exports 26,000 tons of plantain, with Asante Akim as the biggest contributor. Poor storage facilities and destruction of farms by cattle, which has since been addressed, limited capacity of farmers in the area. Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture, George Odro, explains the proposed factory will have storage facilities. He explains processing into powder form and foil packaging will receive attention.
Last week, the contract was signed for the contractor to start putting up the factory. So if you have time, at least by the next week or two, you can visit the site. The money is being funded from the Ministry of Trade. It's $200,000 for the youth to own the factory themselves. It's not going to anywhere. So the factory is going to start next week, as I speak to you right now. Ministry of Trade is providing $200,000 grant to the youth, 50 of them, to own the factory for themselves. It's a grant, not a loan.
Member of Parliament Andy Apiakubi proposes an increase in percentage of common fund allocated for farming.
My office as Member of Parliament, I have led the youth into these agricultural ventures. Myself, I'm a member of the group that is cultivating plantain and even cashew. So most of the time, we use also part of the common fund to acquire some of these farming implements and also weedicides and fertilizers and distribute to the farmers. So somehow we are supporting the youth who are going into these ventures.
Meanwhile, Agogo Traditional Authority has instituted Plantain Planting Festival to drive interest in farming. Paramount Chief Nana Ekuyokusapon believes plantain production is critical to the local and national economy.
You're watching Business Live. Now, as the world's population continues to grow and land becomes more scarce, there's a need to get creative and become more efficient about how we farm, using less land to produce more crops and increasing the productivity and yield of those farmed acres. That is where artificial intelligence comes in, and believe it or not, AI is being explored here in Ghana. on our farms. And here to give us some insight is Darlington Agogo, an AI engineer and founder of Agogo AI. And if you guys have been following this week, you remember Darlington from the episode at the airport where he got stranded because of the GCAA strike, and you were stranded for 3 hours or so, but you made it to Tamale and to the farm to carry out your project, right? Exactly. And that's when we discovered what he does with AI. Very interesting stuff. So yeah, maybe let's start from what AI is, for those of us who've heard about it but not pretty sure what it is.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for having me. A good way of looking at what AI is that there are a number of things that human beings are good at, right? Just between ourselves, right? And we take these things for granted. So being able to even have this conversation requires a lot of intelligence.
Right.
So all these things, what we are trying to do, basically artificial intelligence is attempting to take these things that we deem as intelligence in humans and nature and give them to machines. So as we'll see in agriculture, there are certain things that experts do, and we just want to transfer them and make sure machines are able to do that.
All right. Yeah. And so, yeah, when we talk about AI, it sounds a bit, what should I say, distant? Yeah, but then we're saying that it helps in the agricultural productivity when it comes to agricultural productivity. So explain to us how AI can do that.
Yeah, so if we take the explanation I used before, automatically you would see that there are a number of things that human beings do on the farm. Therefore, there are a number of things that AI can do. So we can look at a few. One being able to detect diseases and pests. Very important. We lose a lot of our yield, especially on the farm, due to diseases and pests. Fall armyworm has been a huge issue in Ghana and then other parts of Africa. So artificial intelligence is able to, with data, so if you have a lot of data on fall armyworm, it's able to learn what fall armyworm looks like and it's able to detect it. So it can do that for a number of diseases and a number of pests that affect crops. So the way it does it is quite similar to the way we learn. So we learn by example. If I want to teach you what fall armyworm looks like, I just need to show it to you that is fall armyworm, that is fall armyworm. Artificial intelligence does a similar thing. So if you have a lot of, in this case, images of fall armyworm, it's able to learn from that. So it uses a number of statistical approaches, but all it's doing is that it's recognizing a pattern across different images. So if you show it like 100 images or 1,000 images, it's trying to see what is common among all these images. In this case, to be fall armyworm. But fall armyworm can be of different sizes. Maybe the shades might be different a little. So it's trying to learn that beyond the image I'm looking at, how do I truly understand what fall armyworm is? So that if I see it in another setting, I can recognize that it's fall armyworm. But this is still just one. You have yield estimation. So if you have a farm that is 100 acres and you want to know that, okay, during harvest, how much potentially could I get, and then how much could I potentially sell and make money? You wouldn't be able to tell if you have 100 or 1,000 acres maybe. So with AI and then the device right in front of us, a drone, you could fly it across the field, detect all the crops, or in this case, all the fruits or vegetables that you're growing, and be able to tell how much you have. So these are some of the things that we've been doing at Agogo AI.
Okay, I don't know whether Yao can show us, yes, that image. Explain to us what that is, what is happening.
Okay, so if we can go back, there was a video. So that image that you saw, there's a video that is also connected to it. Exactly. So this is a 3D map.
Okay.
And what happens is that if you fly the drone across the field, it takes multiple images. But then it can't take the whole field at the same time because it needs to go all the way high and you lose a lot of detail. So what happens is that if you take multiple images, you can put it together. And because it's taking image of, if we are standing here and you are taking images at different angles, you can put it together and get a 3D view of a person. In this case, a 3D view of a farm. So this is in Eastern region, we flew the farm on a cocoa field and we're able to generate a 3D map of the whole farm. So you can go in and then zoom in, zoom out, tilt, and move around and see what is truly in the farm.
And this sounds very sophisticated. I guess what fascinated me most was the fact that we're employing this technology here in Ghana.
Oh, yes.
So tell me about the kind of work you've been doing in Ghana.
Yeah, so I mean, we have been working in artificial intelligence for a number of years. We focus for most of the time, we were focused in healthcare, and then we moved to agriculture. So the same technologies that we were building artificial intelligence, we just brought it to agriculture. And so we have the drone, for example. We've been working with farmers, plant breeders in multiple regions. So yeah, all we are doing basically is that if we want to achieve food security, we need to change our approach to agriculture. We can't do business as usual. So one of the challenging things is that there are experts who are good at detecting diseases and doing this, but your average farmer would not be able to afford them, and they wouldn't have access to them. So what we are doing is that we are building these AI tools that have basically inculcated within themselves the knowledge of disease detection, the knowledge of being able to do a number of things that you can see on the screen. And so if we fly the drone, we get the data, and then we process it, stitch it together, generate all this, and then give it back to the farmer. So we, maybe we'll talk about it, but then when I was in Tamale, we actually took it a step further, which is that it's one thing to detect diseases and pests on the farm, but then we took it a step further. They are trying out different variations or different genotypes of granules. So this is where there are certain features in different granules, and they are breeding them so that they will have a number of features. So what we did was that they had about 1,000 variations of granules, and using our AI system, Caragro AI systems, and then the drones, we're able to test how effective each of these variations were. And the potential of that is the new variations that are created and the data that we've collected to back that these variations are resistant towards diseases. So it's not even about detecting diseases anymore. It's that you have a granules that might actually fight its own battle against diseases. So with our systems, they're able to detect that. And then the new variations that they create, it will help farmers in Ghana, in West Africa, and Africa.
Is there data anywhere that speaks to the impact it has made elsewhere, countries that have employed this kind of technology and the kind of results they are getting?
I mean, so drone artificial intelligence is still quite new, but then if you look at somewhere like Switzerland, they've been very heavy at it, and they still have one of they are still one of the prosperous nations when it comes to agriculture. So yeah, the main thing is that we're actually making it less bulky. So in places like Switzerland, they've been using some sort of technologies like this, but they were very much bigger. But then the potential is, I mean, if we look at right here in Ghana, right, so in Eastern region, what we did right now, the important thing is that we actually work with scientists who are able to verify that data, and they are using that data to map and study diseases. So there'll be a number of reports and studies produced and shared around the world.
And finally, in 30 minutes, if you can, is there any engagement on the government level to, sort of get this adopted? I don't know how far discussions have gone on that tangent.
Yeah, so I mean, we went commercial with this. We spent a long time doing research, and now we've gone commercial working with farmers. Somewhere late last year, I did encounter the Minister of Agriculture, and then we had a conversation about this, and he gave me, I mean, they invited us over to the ministry to have a conversation. Unfortunately, COVID-19 also happened, so we couldn't follow up on that, but yeah. It seems they are very much interested in this, yeah.
Yeah, this is so fascinating. Thanks very much, Darlington, for coming through. We hope to engage more on this fascinating stuff you're doing, and perhaps we'll try and fly the drone as well.
Thank you.
Thanks. That's Business Live tonight, but don't forget to make a date tonight at 9. That exclusive interview with the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, on the upcoming mid-year review. It's on the business edition of PM Express. Don't miss it. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for watching. The BBC News up next.